Let's dive right in. Our brain is this incredible, super complex thing we all have. But it's not like it came with an owner's manual, right? Well, for the next few minutes, we're going to try and build one. We're unpacking John Medina's fantastic book, Brain Rules, to figure out how our minds are actually supposed to work.
So, does this sound familiar? That feeling of being totally swamped, your attention pulled in a million directions? If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. And here's the thing, it's not a personal failing, it's a design issue. Our brains evolved to survive out on the savannah, and frankly, they're just struggling to keep up with our crazy 24/7 digital world. That feeling, it's just a symptom of that mismatch.
All right, so let's tackle the first big culprit behind that feeling of being overwhelmed, the great myth of multitasking. We all like to think we're amazing at it, but, well, science has some pretty bad news for us.
We feel like we're juggling a bunch of tasks at once, like a computer processing things in parallel. But our brain's attention system just doesn't work like that. It's more like a spotlight, and it can only shine on one thing at a time. So what we call multitasking is really just our brain frantically switching from one thing to another and back again. And the result? It causes us to make about 50% more errors, and it literally doubles the time it takes to get anything done. Medina really doesn't mince words here, and that's because the science is just so clear. Trying to pay attention to two things at once, it's impossible. So this means that focusing on one thing at a time, single tasking, isn't just some nice productivity tip. It's a biological necessity if you want to do high-quality work. And all that constant task switching, it creates its own nasty side effect, this low-grade, chronic stress that hums in the background of our lives. So what does that kind of stress actually do to our ability to learn and remember things? The process is actually kind of scary when you break it down. When we're chronically stressed out, our body gets flooded with the hormone cortisol. Now, cortisol is great if you need to run from a tiger, but it's terrible for the really delicate cells in our hippocampus. That's the part of our brain that's in charge of making new memories. Over time, this constant chemical bath literally damages those brain cells, making it physically harder to learn anything new or recall what you already know. And let's be super clear, this isn't a metaphor. A brain that's under chronic stress is a physically different organ. It's an organ that's been handicapped, unable to perform its main jobs of learning, problem solving, and remembering. The big takeaway here is that managing your stress isn't some luxury, it's essential maintenance for the most important tool you have. Okay, so we're trying to fight off distraction, and we're managing our stress. But what about those times when you do manage to focus, you learn something new, and then poof, it's just gone the next day? This is a classic problem called the forgetting curve. And the good news is, there's a solution. So here's the secret. Memory isn't about how hard you try to cram information into your head. It's all about how many connections you can build around that information. That's what this fancy term, elaborative encoding, really means. It's about taking a new piece of information and actively hooking it into things you already understand, which makes it meaningful and personal to you. So how do we actually do this? Well, you connect the new idea to stuff you already know. You come up with a really vivid, maybe even a silly, personal example to make it stick. You make it matter to you. And then, and this part is absolutely crucial, you expose yourself to that information again, but at spaced out intervals. That repetition is what turns a fragile short-term memory into a strong long-term one. So we've talked about the problems and a really key technique for memory. But Brain Rules also points out two foundational habits that are so incredibly powerful, we can honestly think of them as your brain's built-in superpowers. The first superpower is so simple it's almost hard to believe. Our brains evolved while we were on the move. Our ancestors walked like 12 miles a day. Physical activity isn't just good for our bodies, it's literally what our brains require to function at their best. It gets blood flowing, delivers vital oxygen and glucose, and even stimulates proteins that keep our brain cells healthy and strong. And the scale of this benefit is just staggering. Medina points out that your lifetime risk for general dementia is literally cut in half if you exercise regularly. And we're not talking about training for a marathon here. Just moving your body, a few brisk walks a week, can fundamentally change the entire future of your brain. All right, on to the second superpower. It's just as accessible as the first one, but man, it is maybe even more neglected in our modern, always-on culture. It's not some fancy supplement or a complicated biohack, it's sleep. This is because sleep isn't downtime for your brain, it's crunch time. Research has shown that after you learn a new task, Getting a full night's sleep can lead to a 60% improvement in your ability to find creative solutions and shortcuts related to that task. Your brain is actively replaying and making sense of the day's events. Losing sleep isn't a badge of honor. It's literally losing your mind.
So there we have it, the rules. Stop multitasking, manage your stress, encode your memories the right way, move your body, and please get some sleep. Now that might seem like a lot, I get it. But the goal isn't perfection. The goal is to just start your brain's comeback by adopting the mindset of an explorer. I absolutely love this quote from the book. It's a great reminder that curiosity, that drive to understand and experiment, it's just stitched right into our DNA. Learning how our own brains work is the ultimate form of that exploration. It's all about becoming a scientist of your own experience. So I'll leave you with this one question. Forget trying to do everything at once. What's one small experiment you can run today? Just one. Will you take a 10-minute walk on your lunch break? Will you turn off your notifications for just 1 hour to focus on one thing? Or maybe, just maybe, will you decide to go to bed 30 minutes earlier tonight? The journey to a better brain always starts with a single step. What's yours going to be?